Hello again, and welcome to another unboxing video. This time we'll be looking at the Strelets medieval city levy, produced by Strelets of Ukraine. So, we've had a look at the Italeri sets, and across the board we found very well sculpted figures, very well moulded, clean, with crisp and intricate detail. So let's see if Strelets are of comparable quality, shall we? So let's just have a look at the box art. First thing we see is a live action scene depicted here by a group of eager reconstructionists, or however you'd call it, I don't know, reenactors. Yes, reconstructionism is totally different. And yes, it's not a bad scene, to be honest. The picture quality is decent enough. You know, there's a bit of detail. It's not as grainy as, well, you'll see in a second. So let's have a quick look at the actual box then. So we've got some typical disclaimers here. We've got the chap with the kettle hat. And then on the back, rather plain, but unlike the Italeri set, we've actually got pictures of what one would expect to find in this box. So you get 48 figures at 1/72 scale. Now, 48 figures, pretty good. You can't really argue with that. I mean, hey, it's 48 figures of, soldiers that would by and large be expected to be the majority of any army at the time. This was a time before standing armies, so these essentially would be chaps, peasants, serfs, pressed into service in times of war. Obviously, these perhaps weren't even paid. These would have just been, this is just how, things were back then. You lived on the land of your lord, and if your lord needed you to fight, well, you've got to take the call to arms. So, what it is I actually got another one of these, and I got one of these as well. Now, we'll do a bit of a joint review here. So, immediately, this photograph is not as clear, but perhaps this is more of a budget line, because as we see, this is Strelets Mini. What the difference is between Strelets R Mini and Strelets R otherwise, I don't know, but the actual picture quality is blurry and significantly lower resolution. However, there is a nice picture of there is a nice castle in the background. And quite an exciting scene, a few knights charging into some infantry of the time. So let's have a quick look at the back of this box, which also includes pictures of the figures, but also a little bit of explanation as to what it is they're trying to represent. And as we can see, Strelets are using a Hotmail address, registered to the UK, of all things. And of course, these figures are made in Ukraine. So, without getting into the politics of the situation, they're not necessarily hard to come by, but when they're out of stock, they tend to stay out of stock for obvious reasons. So we'll mainly be concentrating on this, because this medieval city levy actually contains the kit of the medieval levy 1, but also they have another set. As you can see, this is medieval levy 1, and there's a medieval levy 2. And when I bought these, I thought I was buying these, and then when they came, well, no, it was pretty much the morning that they came, I checked the email, and I was like, oh no, I've bought the wrong ones. But these are dirt cheap. 48 figures for about, I think it's £8. I mean, come on now, you can't really go wrong. That's what, go to McDonald's and spend more. So let's have a look. Let's actually have a look at the figures. And what I've done is, because I've got two of them, I've actually prepared ahead of time the sprues. Well, I haven't prepared the sprues, but I've dug them out. So this is what you get, this ugly pile of plastic you get, and this is the medieval city levy. So what you get is you get two sprues of the medieval levy 1, which are these chaps carrying a few you know, one-handed weapons, a few pole axes and whatever else. And then you've got this from the second set, which focuses a lot more on spearmen or pikemen or what have you, which is good. It represents, you get quite a nice balance of figures. You get a few in the melee, drawing their one-armed weapons. Some of these sculpts, don't get me wrong, I mean, it looks ugly, but some of the sculpts are really nice. Things that one might not be able to see so well on a camera, but if you actually have a look, you can see that the Akitons and Gambesons are all nicely sculpted. There's a bit of detail on there. The actual poses themselves are quite lively. If one has a look at this chap with the shield, he's holding it in front of him, protecting himself, getting ready to strike back, perhaps a riposte of some sort. Got this guy getting ready to throw that very menacing looking mace into somebody. And then what we'll do is we'll flip it over this way. We've got a bunch of these people in the fray, all, you know, with their war faces on. This guy's got 2 weapons, so he's not a man to be messed with. So yes, so far so good. Don't get me wrong. Some of the faces are kind of, you can tell, they say that you can tell the skill of the sculptor by the quality of the faces. The faces are there. They've got, you know, noses, mouths, eyes, cheekbones, facial hair. The armour itself, aside from the fact that the padding looks a bit more like brickwork than it does actual quilted cloth or linen, but I think with a good enough paint job, if you really put some time and effort into it, you could make these figures something to behold. And you're going to have to put a lot of time and effort into them because of the way that they've been pressed in the mould. So it's actually, these figures, good luck getting them out without, good luck getting those pole arms out without damaging any of the pole itself. But they do somewhat fit. It looks like they'll fit into there. Luckily, I've got a drill. The little hand drill that's absolutely invaluable. This one is from Citadel because I live in Manchester, which is a major city, but we're very underserved in terms of hobby shops. There's maybe a few in some of the provinces of the towns, but Games Workshop and maybe the odd comic book store, they're the only real places you can get a lot of these hobbying tools. And in all fairness, this one does the job. It's not the best, it's not the worst. I've used better, I've used worse. So, not bad. Maybe I'll do some sort of review of that. I don't know. It depends. What do you think, loyal viewer? So, yeah, so in the box we get 24 of Medieval Levy 1 and 24 of Medieval Levy 2. So there's not really much more you can say. We can have a bit more of a closer examination on these spearmen, actually. And these do sort of tend to look a little bit more finely sculpted. Flash is a bit of an issue. You can see it there where the mould has met and mated. And like I say, good luck getting that pole arm out with damaging. Because actually, if one looks at the back of the box, you'll see that they are brass rods. So the chaps at Strelets probably just gave up on it, just chopped their actual, you know, the metal work off the pole arm and just stuck it on a brass rod, which in all fairness is not the worst idea. And if I could find brass rod easily and cheaply, I would, but I'll probably end up very patiently and very tentatively trying not to carve into the models themselves. So they look like a bit of chocolate. It's not, it's paint. So, yeah, the actual quilted armour looks very good. Quite deeply sculpted, but the variety on show is great. You know, you've got guys with helmets, you've got guys with hoods. These really do look like they're fresh from the fields. Some of them look like they've probably a bit more hardened and grizzled. They've got a bit better in terms of probably looted arms and armour. But in the main, a very workmanlike and serviceable set of miniatures. And for the price point, let's say it's a rainy afternoon and you've got some you've got some screaming children or whatever, you could give them a box of these, and if they absolutely butcher them, nobody's going to care. But then again, in this day and age, you know, every penny counts. But as far as my money's concerned, yeah, worth it. Obviously, I can't put them on the same level of quality as Italeri or any of the other sets that I'm going to be reviewing, but they do the job. And if you just need masses of cheap-looking infantry, arrow fodder, then you really can't go wrong with this set. This set, aside from the inconsistency of quality that you might find sticking these next to, say, your 100 Years Knights, you can't really fault them for it. So, yeah, I mean, I couldn't do any better, could you? These very much look like they're hand sculpted. They do not look like they've gone through much computer-aided design. Perhaps they have, or at least the manufacturing process definitely looks very village industry. So, not bad at all. Not great, a solid. Now, if I say 2 out of 5, 2 out of 5 doesn't mean bad. It just means okay. You know, 1 out of 5 means bad, and obviously 0 out of 5 means don't bother. 3 out of 5 is good, and 4 is great, 5 is excellent. So, yeah, solid. I'd say 2 out of 5, nothing special. If you can find them cheap enough, and you don't mind the actual work that you're going to have to do to salvage some of these bits, then they're totally serviceable. Good enough, you know, good enough. Bit of flash. Those poles look like they're going to be really difficult to get off. But, hey, you know, we're hobbyists. It's what we do. So, yeah, once again, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.